Welcome back, Fans Interference. Shanko and Spence, the original two of the Shanko and Spence show. But we're here with Fans Interference tonight. And guess what's on Saturday? NBA All-Star Weekend in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a great time, just getting away from, from the Super Bowl. Obviously, football's over for a lot of sad football fans. But now we get to enjoy the end. Now we can really focus in on the basketball season and the midway point of the NBA season. But let's just dive into.
I love college basketball too.
Oh yeah, that's coming up too.
Marchy Madness is going to be great.
Villanova's number one right now. We'll see where it takes them and Jay Wright and those boys. We'll see how it goes.
I really don't think Nova's going to get any respect until they make a tournament run though, because
absolutely,
it doesn't matter if the guy goes like 35-2 if he still loses in the first round, or in the second round every year.
They always
still gonna be there.
Exactly. They always go first, second round. Maybe they'll go to the regional semis, and then maybe once in a blue moon they'll go to a Final Four. But last time they won was in 1985 when they played Georgetown, and they haven't won anything since. So
other than Scotty's a floater, which is a great game in Philadelphia sports history.
All right, Spence, let's stay on topic here, and let's jump right into the 3-point contest.
You want to talk about Nova the whole time? All right, well, this is what we'll do.
It's right up the road, so might as well.
First off, Toronto, Canada's the host city. What do you think about the host city?
I love Toronto. It's a different feel. It's in Canada. And a lot of people love Canada for what it's worth, and Toronto is a great city to go to. Obviously Drake's from Toronto. Drake's a big pull.
Big basketball fan.
He loves the Toronto Raptors, and it's going to be a great weekend for the festivities.
I think it's a cool setting because Toronto doesn't really get highlighted a lot because it's so far north of Milwaukee. Might be the most northern city still in the NBA.
Sure. I
liked when it was at Oracle Arena at Golden State. My favorite year of basketball was the early 2000s. I just loved basketball then. Like growing up as a kid, maybe from ages 8 to 14. That was my heyday of. What about yourself?
Oh, I definitely watched as a kid from growing up and watching Michael Jordan play against some of the great guys in the NBA. Once he went against Kobe. Once Kobe came out of
I saw
Lower Merion High School.
I saw MJ more on the Wizards.
Yeah, I remember watching him too on the Wizards, but I just remember him winning in the title in '98. Really, just coming back,
over Byron
winning
Russell.
it winning a three-peat from '92 to '95, then taking a year off, then winning it again. Another three-peat from '96 '98. Great player.
Baseball.
And the game is so much different now. A lot of people are it's a lot of people consider it a soft league now, and it is. A lot of people taking more 3-point shots, and a lot of people not going into the paint as much, and it's a very weak.
Absolutely.
Different type of game.
Because there's no dominant big men like Shaquille O'Neal. There's no Ben Wallace's really around. It's very finesse, and that's what you're going to get at the evolution of basketball. As more players are shooting threes, you kind of have like a whole splurge of European influence as well. And
sure.
They're kind of built more like Spencer Hawes-ish type players, like Dirks and Hawes. They're stretch fours that are really out there in the NBA. But the rivalries in the 90s were just so great for basketball.
Absolutely. When you talk about rivalries, I can think of top of right behind. I could talk about my team right here, the New York Knicks, which we'll dive in later in this segment. And watching Patrick Ewing play against some of the great guys, against Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley. Knicks had great players. John Starks, Charles Oakley, obviously Patrick Ewing.
Was Hardaway on that? Tim Hardaway?
I think he played for a different team though. It was his brother.
I know Starks was on the Knicks back in the back in the 90s when they were really at their peak.
Sure.
And those Bulls Knicks series were incredible.
Yeah, they were, and it's a shame that the Knicks never got a championship in the 90s because they always would, butt heads with either the Pistons or the Bulls, or they always would or how about the Rockets with Olajuwon and
how about this one? The Pacers, Reggie for Spike.
That's right. Yeah, that was
man.
Back in the it had trouble getting against them. I remember the Patrick Ewing just had to tip it in, and it went off the backboard, and now it's a disappointing
And then the
game
Reggie
game 6
with
and
him and Spike Lee, obviously, when he came back and had that historic performance of 12
that was
points in
cool.
like 8 minutes of basketball. I like the early 2000s, the New Jersey Nets with Kidd, Kmart, Kerry Kittles, and then you had Antoine Walker and Paul Pierce with the Celtics, and then Detroit, Ben Wallace.
Kevin Garnett.
How about Ben Wallace and the Detroit team with Billups, Rip Hamilton? I mean,
he was a really great defensive guy, and it's a shame that a lot of people remember Ben Wallace for the fight that he had with Ron Artest in 2003 at the Palace at Auburn Hills.
Malice at the Palace.
Malice at the.
What would you have done if you were at that?
Oh my God, I don't even. Oh man, I would be such like in awe and shock of like an actual NBA player, a professional going into the stands and punching a guy and taking his head and just like putting it into the stands. It's just a very thing you don't want to see from a professional.
But that was before also the flip phones and before technology in general. And that's what I think these players are so buddy now in the NBA. You just don't see the rivalries because everybody's on Twitter and you don't want to ever insult like a fellow player. And like I feel like LeBron and Kevin Durant, like they mentor these guys young.
Yeah.
So when they get to the league, they're not just going to be sworn enemies. Like they're not going to be like Bird and Magic, you know. Like Bird and Magic, that was the best kind of rivalry because those guys, they didn't like each other when they played, and then they weren't even that good of friends off the court either. They just were kind of tolerable and cordial with one another, and that made for just a great and just unbelievable rivalries. But anyway, we'll talk about the present day NBA All-Star Game in Toronto, Canada. It's going to be crazy. The first event is the 3-point shootout. And I love this event. I mean, it's after the point guard challenge where no one tries.
Yeah, they have the rising challenges even before that.
Shooting
Obviously,
stars,
it's a different type of environment where you're just shooting threes. Nobody's guarding you, and everybody's watching you. Everybody's on the spotlight of you, and it's different how guys react to different different balls that they shoot, and it's a different feeling. And look at that. We have a
2-point ball.
Yeah, 2-point ball. Yeah, really got to strategize yourself, and you got you're obviously on a time clock. You got to be able to shoot it, with finesse and with precision and quality. And look at these guys that we have, doing this 3-point contest.
I know we're running for the best of all time.
Steph Curry, obviously a great 3-point shooter. He can shoot at the lights from anywhere.
He's okay.
He's okay. What do you mean he's okay?
He's decent.
He shoots the lights. He could shoot like way off the 3-point line without even trying.
I was riling you up there.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
I can't hate on Steph Curry at all. That dude just bombs threes. I mean, he shoots it with such a high arc.
Yeah, and that's really hard to guard and really hard to
quick release.
Absolutely.
I think he's gonna be successful. Obviously, I want to see him drain like 25 in a round. I almost wish that there were more rounds in the 3-point contest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they definitely need more shooting ability in this contest because like obviously Steph Curry has been his numbers are so much better this year. He's leading his team to he only has 4 losses this year. He might be able to tie the 95, 96 Bulls with that record.
Yeah.
He's making his teammates a lot better with Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green, Iguodala, Livingston. They're all contributing thanks to his success.
I don't disagree with that.
Well, how can you disagree? They have 4 losses. Why you can't disagree with it?
I don't disagree with any of the statements. Let's look at this list and find out who you think is the bottom feeders of this list. Who's going to struggle? There's definitely a few names that pop out that I could see as first round eliminating city. That might not even get to 10.
Well, let's get to our audience who we have discussing so far. We have Steph Curry, and obviously James Harden, Klay Thompson, Chris Middleton, Kyle Lowry, J.J. Redick, Chris Bosh, and Devin Booker. Now, obviously from that list, obviously some of the weakest links that I see are, maybe Devin Booker. I'm not really sold. He's young. I'm not sold on his shooting ability. I don't think he even averages, maybe like 12 points a game.
It's an interesting choice. I mean, he was so much more popular at Kentucky. No one really cares about him at all on the Suns. But he has the most to gain. Like, he definitely, this spotlight can help him.
Yeah, and to keep going on this list, Chris Bosh is, he's a pretty good forward in this league. You can also
He's gonna do
he's a
okay.
stretch.
I don't
He'll
think
do
he's
okay.
gonna be horrible,
He'll-
but I can't see him competing
He's
for
a
the title.
No, he's a stretch four, and he'll hit a couple threes here at times, but he's not that guy you continue to go to make your a key success at the 3-point line. But
Can I mention a guy that I don't think is going to do very well?
go ahead.
I don't think James Harden is really fit for the standstill shooting
Why?
3-point contest.
You don't think so?
Because James Harden, most of his points come off the bounce. You
Yeah.
know, like when he's like dicing people up, isolation between the legs, getting to the foul line. I don't think he's just a pure standstill shooter, that this 3-point contest is really going to yield to. So I could see him struggling a bit in this competition.
Maybe so. Maybe you're right, but we will never know what happens in the
I know,
competition perspective.
Watch him go out and win, and
Watch
I'll
him go
have
out
to,
and win, and obviously on this this list that we have, obviously one of the great spot up shooters in this game today, Klay Thompson. One of the Splash brothers, and
yes,
obviously he could shoot the lights out
He's a
too.
good
Also
player.
JJ Redick,
Kind of a flat shot.
coming
Klay
off
Thompson.
They both come off screens very well. I mean, they have great point guards that make it facilitate guys like Chris Paul, for JJ Redick, and then obviously Steph Curry.
So who do you think are the best two shooters in this field?
Well, we already know the first shooter. That's Steph Curry. That's number one.
Yeah,
and then number
not
two.
shocker.
Number two, I'm probably gonna have to say, probably a tie between Thompson and Redick.
Okay.
I mean, they're really close. And
I would take JJ Redick for sure over Thompson.
yeah, he can shoot JJ can shoot the lights out any game,
JJ is
anytime
just
we
a
want.
flat out shooter ever since his Duke days.
I really like him as a player and as a guy who comes off the court. Really as a key contributor to that offense. And
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
So we gotta give some picks. Let's get the audience a little bit of prediction. So you can only take 3 finalists.
Okay. Well, I already know my 3 finalists.
I don't know if Middleton's gonna step up on the big stage, but I kind of feel like he's due for a nice performance. Like I could see Middleton putting together a number.
Sure.
Chris Bosh, I wouldn't count out. I think Booker will do average. Lowry, surprisingly, really like Kyle Lowry. It's his hometown.
Really?
He's going to be too nervous. I'm sure he's like in
I don't
other
like him.
events.
I'm not a big fan of Kyle Lowry. I mean, he's just. I feel like
fan of Lowry.
I don't know. I mean, like I should rephrase. I think Kyle Lowry is one of those. Is one of those guys where he doesn't really get that much publicity up there in Toronto, and Toronto is just a team that they're always just a. Like, they don't really talk about. I mean, they're quietly, the second.
Because it's Toronto. It's outside the
they're
country.
They're quietly the second seed in the Eastern Conference.
It's because of location.
And nobody talks about Eastern Conference as much. It's still very weak. Obviously, you have the losing teams. Obviously, probably going to make the playoffs. And obviously, the Western Conference is so much better. Much better competition to make it in the NBA
but
ranks.
I think Lowry's a stud, though. He's improved so much. He's so fast. He's strong. He can get to the rack. He could dial up threes from long distance. He doesn't have a great coach in Dwayne Casey. Patrick Peterson. I think Patrick Patterson. You have guys like on Toronto.
Yeah, but
DeRozan's good too. I think Lowry is actually one of the more underrated guys in the league, but I'm glad to hear differing opinions about Kyle.
Yeah, I do like Kyle Lowry as a person, but as a player too, he's okay. I don't think he's gonna make a huge impact.
Okay,
like a Steph Curry or obviously like a big guy like
Thompson. I still think he's a stud though.
I put him in the above average category, I'm sure. but obviously to go to your point, I think that obviously Kyle Lowry doesn't have a lot to work with, and obviously it's a pass first league. Obviously got. Point guard is the guy who facilitates around the court. Got to be able to get open guys for guys like I'm trying to think Terrence Ross, DeRozan, and Valanciunas. Like, there's not a lot of talent to work with for Toronto, and
minus Kleza.
I feel like they're like the Atlanta Hawks team that just can't get over the hump. And Toronto last year, they've always been in the first round every year. They always get ounced in the first round. And
I agree.
So we'll
I think Lowry's still a stud though.
He's
not going to do well in this. Okay, so my final 3, I got Redick and Steph definitely, and I'm going to go Chris Middleton as a wild card to advance out of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can see that, but I could see Chris Bosh getting out of the first round. He can put on a little dance and have a little fun for the crowd too. And Klay Thompson will get out. Steph Curry will obviously get out. JJ will get out. And I think the final three will be Curry, and then Thompson, and then I'm gonna go with Redick.
Okay, I like that. I like
yeah.
that. That's chalk. That's fine. And then to win the competition, you have. I said Curry, Middleton, and JJ Redick.
It's so hard to go against.
I'm gonna go JJ though in an upset.
I might be saying like obviously I'm gonna go for the home run here, but it's so hard to go against Steph Curry. He's just shooting so well, and
I respect that.
He could just shoot with his eyes closed, and you could see him in the shoot arounds, before games. He lights it up for the fans, and kind of just like what he does for like Odell Beckham does. But yeah, I think that's gonna be a good thing to watch, and obviously we gotta get into our the next thing, obviously
to the main event.
And
listen, this is I'm pulling up here the participants, and we got 4 guys that are participating in this competition. The slam dunk contest is a legendary event. It's my favorite event of the year. I have to be real. I honestly am more excited for this than anything.
And it's a shame too, because like the dunk contest is not how it's been, and obviously for the obvious reasons, a lot of people are obviously taking different dunks and they're taking different styles, but there's only really so much you can do in the dunk contest, because a lot of people are going to do different variations of the same thing, or
it's been done already.
And they'll interview props, and they'll jump over cars like Blake did. That was really awesome. That one year.
Was so sick.
And Gerald Green, when he blew out the candle the one time, I was just thinking about that. That was really a unique.
How creative was that?
Different types of events.
How about Iguodala from behind the basket?
Oh yeah, that was a good one too. Obviously, in our, we got. I mean, obviously, we got to talk about the great dunkers of all time, guys like Jason Richardson, Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Spud Webb. He actually did well for 1 year, and from his side. Oh, of course. I was just getting to that. You beat me to the spot. Vince Carter, man, obviously one of the great dunkers of all time. He even said, he doesn't want Vinsanity to be over. He said in the report, and I'm really excited to see what else that he has up his sleeve. Because I'm going to miss him as a dunker and as a player, because he's old. He's 38 now, and we'll see how he goes. We'll see how it happens.
You need charisma to be successful in this slam.
Sure.
You need the pat on the back, get the crowd involved, and also you need to make the dunk on the first time. You don't go like 10 times.
Yeah, it's gonna mess up your ratings for the biased dunkers, or the biased the ratings system. All the judges are gonna be like, oh well, that's okay, but then the other one will be like, oh well, that's
By the way,
it's all by the judges.
I know the NBA wants to make money on social media. I think the worst implementation of the dunk contest is getting it takes out all the drills. I love that they kept it simple. Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, Shaq, back in 05, before Twitter and Facebook existed, the judges would hold up the signs of the tradition.
Yeah.
I just love that.
Obviously, obviously the dunk contest has not been the same, obviously, for years now. But then last year, Zach LaVine comes on the scene out of nowhere and he made all these dunks that we haven't seen before. Sure. And it's great for Zach LaVine, because he rides that dunk contest, because everybody would hate watching the dunk contest because it's so boring. Yeah, exactly. And now we actually got we actually have some dunks. We have some dunkers here.
But come on, LeBron. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
I want to see the studs out. Durant how about Russell Westbrook and John?
That would be pretty cool. I mean, to rally off of this that we have.
Put it at 12:30 at
Zach LaVine
rocked out with Ron Westbrook.
Yeah, obviously these guys that we have, only 4 guys are participating, not really flashy. Obviously, Zach LaVine, you're defending champion, and then you have Aaron Gordon, the power forward. got drafted 2 years ago by the Magic for maybe his 5th year out. And I don't think he's been, really making a big impact on the Magic right now.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, I could see him being a formal, big man in this league. I don't think he's going to make a huge impact like a Draymond Green would, or a guy like Pau Gasol will. And, I feel like he'll just be an average to role player in this league. But now, obviously, going to the next guy, Will Barton. I love Will Barton. He is a fantasy stud. I have him on my fantasy. I have him on my fantasy squad. He really, for that Denver squad, he really, puts up points for them. He's a good shooter. He can drive to the basket. He can come off of screens. He can do, obviously a great job. Moutier, as I alluded to earlier in Fans Interference, I thought, the Knicks were going to pick Moutier, and then they obviously went with KP6. As we will talk about the Knicks later on in this show. But Will Barton, obviously great fantasy athlete, and I love what he brings to the table, and we'll see how he goes. And then we got
Andre Drummond.
I love Andre Drummond. He's a double machine.
Solid player. Will Barton, that's actually a name that I'm not that familiar with.
Yeah, I like Barton. Great fantasy guy. But Andre Drummond, I'm really happy that Greg Monroe, left to go to the Bucks, because I feel like he had to flee his wings and be able to. Now I can get all these doubles, and I can be a double machine now. And Andre,
it's my team.
It's my team, and that's obviously the same thing going off with the Sixers are doing. I mean, I don't think the Twin Towers can work for the Sixers. I mean, we'll talk about it in a different video.
I think we got to get to our slam dunk results here.
Sure.
I know you want to talk Knicks basketball. I think we got to save that for its own individual segment. Talk free agency, or do you want to talk Knicks now?
That's a lot. We'll keep that as a teaser for everybody who's listening out there.
I think it's a teaser for next time.
Sure, absolutely. And who do you think's going to win this contest?
I'm taking Zach again.
You're going to take Zach?
I'm taking Zach and Aaron Gordon, and
sure.
I think Zach LaVine is a freak. You're right. He does have the ability to bring back the dunk contest. He was so much fun, on the T-Wolves out of UCLA. I'd love to see if Rubio and LaVine on the same team. It's tough because you don't exactly see all of LaVine's talents. Like, if he could just run the show, it really would be so exciting. And he's kind of a guy that needs a mid-range game. Like, he makes the unbelievable play. He makes the threes and the dunks, but he just doesn't have the consistency yet to be a potent force. I'd love to see LaVine run the team. So I like Zach LaVine over Aaron Gordon, though, in the dunk contest.
Yeah, I we'll see how it goes. I mean, anybody can win in any given day, but I don't really know a lot about these dunkers. I mean, obviously, I only focus in on the X's and O's of basketball, which I'll talk about later. But I love Zach LaVine, what he brings to the table. I'm curious to see what he's gonna do this year, because I know he's been thinking about it all year, like, this is the dunk contest. I'm so excited for it. And I'm like, wow, I'm just itching to get out there in front of Drake and, everybody's watching on a global stage.
I respect LaVine for defending his title. And, I mean, this dunk contest, I want it to go on later at night. Like, I want them to kind of delay it. Ironically, people want to see it at, like, 11:30. I want to see it at, like, 12:30 in prime time. I want to keep delaying it. I don't like the team stuff. I think that's so corny and stupid when, you have, your teammate throwing alley-oops up to you in a 24-second span. Mm-hmm. Just let these guys rock out with one dunk. Get the props involved. Have a ton of props. There's no props that are too much for me.
Sure.
And let's hope that they could keep ratcheting up the slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
Just try to make it pretty formidable.
So who's your winner?
Zach
EV?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Zach EV too. Why not? Because he's the flashy guy. I don't know what's gonna happen with these other guys. Because
why the heck not? That's the theme of our show.
Why not? Right? Sure. Why not bring it into our spectacle?
Listen, guys, we're gonna do a reaction show to the All-Star Weekend. Hope it pans out great. Saturday night should be a pretty good night. So that's our preview. Thanks for listening to Fans Interference.